What's going on, guys, and welcome to another edition, a Thursday night edition, of the Bare Minimum with the Four-Star Chicago Sports Podcast. I am Brandon Duplessis, and I am joined by the crafty Dustin Jones. How you doing, man?
I'm great, man. I'm good. Great intro. Let's get this shit going. Bear down, everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Another good game, snowy game, Thursday
Did you
night.
watch that game? I
I
watched it. It
did.
was hard to see
I
what
watched a
was
lot
going
of it.
on. You know, it
I
was
mean,
a
a lot of. I mean, both quarterbacks had 200 yards in a blizzard.
yeah, for sure. That was impressive. Russell Wilson made some pretty impressive throws in that weather. Jameis Winston played his ass off.
Pickens is so good, man. He is exactly who I expected him to be a few years ago. I had an argument with a guy on Facebook, and I'm sorry if you're a fan of ours and you just so happen to be watching this show one day, man, but he was trying to convince me that Deontay Johnson was and would be the better receiver between George Pickens and himself.
Deontay Johnson's ass,
That guy's now been traded twice this year.
and he's not doing anything in Baltimore.
No.
Deontay Johnson sucks. I can say this confidently because I had him on my fantasy team last year, and he's just not good. He's one of those guys that, like, I don't know why we're talking about Deontay Johnson, but I guess that's what we're on to. But he's just one of those guys.
Just George Pickens has turned into.
Oh, yeah. George Pickens had 48 yards receiving in that game. It wasn't.
I know, but he has the third most receiving yards in the NFL right now. So.
Well, we'll see if he maintains that this week. I mean, it was a tough game. I thought the Steelers had that thing won. I mean,
he's going to finish somewhere around the top 5, man, and that kind of is who I thought he was going to be.
To let the Browns go score that touchdown to take the lead in that game, I mean, I didn't expect that from the Steelers. I thought their defense would come up, especially in a fucking blizzard. But I was a little disappointed, honestly, in the results. Jameis Winston is weird. Jameis Winston is just a weird dude. He gets interviewed and he starts sucking on his fingers, eating W's and shit after the game. Like, I don't know. I don't like this Browns team at all. I really don't. I don't like anything about them. Hopefully they fire Kevin Stefanski.
I like their coach.
Yeah, hopefully they fire him so that he's out there as an option for teams on the market, including the Bears this coming off season. But I don't know. Hold out a great win tonight, man. Great win.
Implications there. The Steelers will still be a playoff team, and the Browns still will not. So,
well, the Steelers went to 8-3. The Browns went to 3-8. I mean, the definition of the television looked like it was taking me back to the early 90s with all that snow. Like you couldn't really make out what was going on. It was a rough watch.
Got pretty thick at the end there.
Yeah, it got real fuzzy, man. It looked like a fuzzy TV. Yeah. I don't know. Well, I don't know what stood out to me very much about that game. I felt like that's a game the Steelers find a way to win. And the fact that they didn't kind of threw me. It gives me concern for them going forward, to be honest. I guess it's on the road. It's a divisional game. We're going to be talking about a divisional game between the Bears and the Vikings. I mean, divisional games we got all the stats, but they always say you can throw them out in these divisional games. So the Browns were definitely the worst team in this game. I mean, the weather and guys really playing their ass off or the Browns being at home, the Steelers being on the road. I guess it kind of impacted that game. I had the Steelers -3, so I guess maybe I'm just disappointed with that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I read this. No, I didn't read this. I was looking for his career statistics against Pittsburgh when I was deciding whether or not to do any kind of parlays in this game. Jameis Winston had never played the Steelers.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, now he's winning.
He's played for like 12 years and started for like 10 of them, man. It's like
he hasn't started for 10.
No, it's like 7. He started for like 7 years.
Yeah.
He's been in the league for like 10 now. I mean, how is this guy not played the Steelers?
Yeah, I don't know. He's played in the NFC South most of his career.
It's just funny that Mike Tomlin was scheming for a new quarterback when a guy's like 31, like 33 years old. Like,
I don't know. Yeah.
It's funny.
Once you get into that kind of weather, man, I guess all the scheming kind of goes out the window. It's just like watching kids play in the snow, man.
Well,
Like,
then you got to know, are you playing a guy that can run?
and he ran for a touchdown in that game. It was a gutsy play. I mean, Jameis Winston came up with the plays to win the game, man. He really put that team on his back. So good for him, man. Good for him. The Browns seem to always find these backup quarterbacks that perform better than Deshaun Watson. So I don't know if that says more about the backup quarterbacks or Deshaun Watson, but I don't know. Myles Garrett had 3 sacks in the first half. That's insane. That's insane. And then, towards the end of the game, something that kind of gave me some flashbacks to the Bears, man. Like the Steelers were driving, trying to stay in that game, needed a touchdown. And it's like the lead up to that Hail Mary, you're watching, like I'm watching extra carefully what the Browns are doing on defense. And like I'm wondering, has Matt Eberflus just taught the whole league a lesson on how to defend those last minute drives where the team's going to end up in a Hail Mary situation? Like you watch the Browns kind of execute it pretty well tonight against the Steelers. They weren't playing completely back, and Russell Wilson didn't really have a lot to go to on the outside. They were still getting pressure on him, and when he threw up that Hail Mary, they just knocked it down, man. They had their people in position, and they just knocked it to the
I'll be
ground.
honest with you though, man. I did see a point in that game with Stefanski where I was like, oh, this is some Shane Waldron stuff here. There was a game, it was 19-18. Browns were down. The Browns had the ball. So, I mean, this is towards the end of the game. It's pivotal. The Browns scored. And he puts the Dorian Thompson Robinson kid in the game for even just a play. And I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah. And then
What are
he
you
went right
doing?
back out while they were driving. They were driving on that. I mean,
No, he
I
did.
don't
All he
know.
did was hand the ball off because had he had thrown the ball in snow, I would have felt, all right, these guys hired Shane Waldron. Like he's a consultant here. Like if that guy had thrown the football, that would have just been
I'm not sure. I'm not sure of
egregiously
the strategic.
irresponsible.
I'm not
But
sure of the strategic thought process of putting him in there, but I mean,
but I
I
did
don't
see
know.
Mike Vrabel. But I did see Mike Vrabel, literally individually coaching players on the sideline. I did see that.
Mike Vrabel's going to be out there, guys. I'm looking forward to the opportunity for him to be the Bears head coach as well. Justin Fields got on the field for like a drive at one point. He was
Yeah, he had
throwing
a
the
few.
ball.
That made more sense when that happened. Like he
It
made,
made sense to try to run the football in that weather, and they
yeah,
thought that he gave
and
him
and when
another
you're in the
aspect
red
of the
zone,
game.
Justin Fields is a lethal ball carrier in the red zone.
He didn't look lethal tonight, man, carrying the ball.
No,
I think he had one good run, but it
no,
seemed like
The Browns defense don't get fooled, man.
bad things happened every time Fields got on the field, to be honest. Russell Wilson is obviously the better quarterback. I think the best thing Fields did was take a roughing the passer penalty that got them 15 yards, which was a huge thing. But then they put Russell Wilson back in the game. Russell Wilson, again, from the moment they inserted him as the starter, has given them an element to their offense that they don't have with Justin Fields, and it's the deep ball, man. It's an accurate deep ball. And you've seen George Pickens take off since. So hopefully the Steelers can find a way to get back on their winning ways. I root for the Steelers kind of like to the side. Like I like that team. I always have. So
I just like Mike Tomlin, man. I really
Mike
do.
Tomlin is, in my opinion, the best coach in the NFL. So yeah, he's a fun guy to root for too. So I don't know, man. I don't know how much more there is to touch on that game. I had a
Nothing.
bet
Yeah,
on it.
well,
I
no, it's
lost it.
dead. It's dead in the water, bro. Yeah, no, I do have
Yeah.
some headlines, deadlines, or lifelines.
Oh yeah. NFL
Yeah,
related.
yeah, we skipped those last week. Let's dive into a few.
Okay, let's go for it.
Oh, NFL related. You just give me an idea. I'm going to throw a Bulls one in the end of this, okay?
All right, we'll see how that goes. I hate the Bulls.
Deadline or lifeline, Dustin. The Bears will finish. The Bears currently stand 10th overall. If the draft were to happen tomorrow, they will finish with a top 10 pick in the 2025 NFL draft.
I guess that's a lifeline to me because I think they'll fall somewhere between 10 to 15 when it's all said and done. So if they have the 10th pick, I don't see them falling inside the top 10, man. I don't know. They have a very tough schedule. I guess you could see them losing out, I guess it's possible. But the way that offense performed last week and more time to work with Thomas Brown, I expect them to win a couple, find a way to win a couple. So I mean, I don't know. There's some really bad teams in the NFL this year, man. Like
Yeah, but the Browns just won a game.
there's I was talking about it last week. Last week there was 14 teams with 4 wins or less heading into that week. So like there's just some bad football. There's some bad football teams. So I could see the Bears staying in that 10 to 15 range in this draft when it comes up.
So deadline, right?
Lifeline, I said, because if they're 10, then I guess that counts as a top 10 pick. So,
all right, I'm gonna paraphrase David Kaplan a little bit from this morning. He said they were talking about the Bears' future and the direction they'll go with the head coach. And Cap said, honestly, I foresee Eberflus being fired before the season ends.
really,
Headline, deadline, or lifeline. Eberflus will be terminated in season, not after season.
that's a deadline to me, man. If you're going to fire Eberflus, wouldn't it have been after that Patriots game?
Or after the Packers, at least.
I mean, no, the Packers, again, like, at the end of the day, I thought that was one of, and I don't know if it's saying a lot, but I thought that was one of his better jobs coaching that he's done in that Packers game in the time that I've watched this Bears team. That's not the game that I fire him after. I fire him after he can't beat the Patriots at home, man. Patriots are an awful team. Like they got rid of Shane Waldron at that point, and they let Flus be the person that made that decision publicly, at least. So if they were going to do it, they should have done it then. They should have put him and Waldron out the door. I wish they would have, to be honest. But what up, Bruce? Thanks for checking in, boss. Hit that like button.
Going on, Bruce?
Yeah, so I'd say deadline, man. I say he makes it through the season. I don't see.
I agree with you. Cap, I believe he's a very strong rooted fan. I think
He's very passionate.
Sometimes he allows himself to say things that he longs for. You know, I mean,
Don't
they
mean
don't
he's
seem
wrong.
very doesn't.
He's
Yeah, no.
right.
Well, the
He's right.
possibility exists. Every organization's willing to do it. They just mostly don't prefer to.
Well, the
Okay,
Bears have not been willing to do it throughout their history, so
so
that's
we'll
one
both
thing.
say deadline. Flus makes it through the end of this season. All right, Roma Dunze with 479 yards is only 19 ahead of DJ Moore with 460. But Roma Dunze is a rookie and is currently leading the Bears in receiving yards. Roma Dunze will lead the Bears in 2024 in receiving yards.
Oh, that's an interesting question. Yeah, I think so. Headline, man. I think the connection between Rome and Caleb is the best one on this team, but from quarterback to receiver. I
And
think
most importantly, the ones that aren't seem just to be off, right? Like
I mean,
the other ones, Rome doesn't just seem the best. It's the one that seems to just like working. You know what I mean? The other ones.
well, and Keenan got involved last week, and so did DJ, and they got the screen game going with DJ. So if that's something they can continue to find success with, that's just going to build more chemistry with Caleb
Oh
and
yeah,
DJ.
Thomas Brown's not done with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's a tough thing to say. I think. I mean, I just think that the fact that they came in together as rookies and they're so close, they always seem to be talking to each other. Like I just think that chemistry is just there for them, and that's the most promising thing on this Bears team right now is the fact that you have a rookie quarterback and a rookie number one receiver that are growing together and finding success together here pretty early on, man. So. I mean, that's only going to carry over. If you wanted him to have a connection with one of these guys the most, it would be Roma Dunze because Roma Dunze has the future here with Chicago. I mean, we just signed DJ Moore. He'll be here, but Roma Dunze, we're hoping is our number one receiver, like for Caleb's career, like a Marvin Harrison, Peyton Manning type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like you're hoping that those two spend a lot of years wrecking the league. So it's one positive that you can take out of this Bears offense so far this season. What do you think?
I think it's a deadline. I think DJ Moore does end up catching him. I think Moore ends up finishing with the most receiving yards on the Bears this year.
Okay. I mean, that's obviously plausible.
The Giants will win more games with Tommy DeVito than they have with Daniel Jones.
Deadline. Deadline, man. I mean, maybe they'll win another 3 the rest of this season. They're not a good football team. I really have to question their decision making and making DeVito the starter when you signed Drew Lock this offseason for that very role to be the backup quarterback. Drew Lock came out and said what he thought about it. He's not in agreement with it. I mean, he signed a contract thinking that he had a chance to get playing time because he knew Daniel Jones was on a hot seat, like that was one of the big factors in Drew Lock coming over. And I think Drew Lock is probably a better quarterback than DeVito too. So I don't think that we'll see DeVito I think Lock ends up starting at quarterback for this Giants team too at some point this season, man.
I don't know. I think DeVito's capable of winning a few games. His statistics are actually okay, man. Like his overall statistics last year, more touchdowns than turnovers, and his completion percentage wasn't terrible.
He's nothing to write home about, man. I don't think he's very good. If the Giants can win games, it's gonna be on the back of that defense. They got 36 sacks.
But if the Giants can't, then Dable is certainly fired.
Oh, Dable's gonna be fired. That and so is Shane. Joe Shane has been gone. Like you watch that Hard Knocks before the season started, and you see all this stuff that went into their decision making, and they gave Hard Knocks such an inside view of what they were doing and why they were doing it, and none of it looks good looking back on it, man. If you remember any of those episodes, Joe Shane is gone. That whole regime is gone.
All right. Stefanski's hands were forced in starting Deshaun Watson.
Headline. Yeah, clearly. No doubt. I mean, it took an injury for him to bench Deshaun Watson, I guess, but he was probably fucking hoping for that. He probably put a curse on him. He probably had a voodoo doll that looked like Deshaun Watson.
In his ice bath.
Yeah.
Sitting down there at the bottom.
Yeah, no, Kevin Stefanski probably resorted to some voodoo to get Deshaun Watson injured because he was definitely being forced to start him because of the fact that they paid him so much money and gave up so much draft capital to get him, man. Like just
this was a quick one. I agree. It's a headline.
Yeah.
Thomas Brown will earn an interview for the Bears head coaching job by the end of the year.
Wow. A part of me hopes so I want to say yeah, but I don't know that anyone's going to interview Thomas Brown for a head coaching job, man. I'm going to say deadline. I really like Thomas Brown. I liked Thomas Brown when they signed him. I thought that was the
when you sent a text that said this guy's got Mike Tomlin qualities. That's why I wrote this up.
Let's talk about that then. Yeah, his passion for the game, his ability to relate to these younger players in the league, and just like his no nonsense approach to everything. It really does remind me of Tomlin when he was first hired with the Steelers for sure. So it's like, I want to see more. Hopefully that changes and he continues. I mean, I watched his press conference today. The guy's he's great. He's got a good understanding of the game. He's got a no-nonsense approach to what he says, which tells me he's got a no-nonsense approach to what he does, and like I think accountability is very big to him. And the fact that he said, I don't the scheme doesn't matter to me. I'm not out there playing, basically. He said, I gotta adjust.
You know what it feels like, man.
Look for in a coach.
It feels like he has a pretty good understanding of the fact that in order for him to have any kind of opportunity following this season, he can't worry about his opportunities following this season.
He said that today.
Do the job in front of him and do it the best he can in order for the Bears to be in winning positions and successful positions in order to win games. And Flus doesn't understand this. Flus is going to hold on and reach for, as he sinks, he's going to reach for everything he can to make himself look better as a coach.
For his defensive call sheet.
And Thomas Brown knows if I just do my fucking job well, that stuff
he's in a catbird seat.
Out. That'll work itself out. I don't have to worry about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is a coaching quality. That is a leader quality.
He was asked that today.
Putting that before yourself. Like I'm not concerned about being a head coach. What we're talking about right now, at the end of this year. I'm concerned about Caleb Williams being better this week than he was last week. That's it.
Yeah, for
That's
sure, and it's a
yeah.
guy who's results oriented and results driven. You know, he said there's no attaboys for what did he say? No attaboys for coming up short or something like that.
For losing.
Yeah, he's we didn't get the job done. We got to do better. I mean, that's what you want to hear from him. And he was asked very specifically about his future, and he's like, I don't have the luxury of thinking about my future right now. I have to worry about the task at hand, what's in front of me. You know, exactly what you just said. So, I mean, I think he's very much approaching it that way. I would love for him to be so successful that he has a lot of job opportunities in front of him. One being with the Chicago Bears, if that's how it works. I just don't know. I mean, he hasn't really been established in this league as an offensive coordinator yet. I think that's the next logical step for him. I mean, the head coach is going to be that's a big jump. But I mean, if he continues to carry himself the way he is and he continues to find success on the football field with Caleb Williams in this offense, then this could change, man. We could be talking about
And
not wanting to let him
Darius is
leave.
right, man. It would really suck to see him be successful somewhere else.
If he is that Mike Tomlin guy and we let him walk,
That would suck.
yeah. If he's the next Mike Tomlin, yeah, that would be a heartbreak.
Because it would feel like you denied fate, because it's almost like fate that guy's here. Listen, I
Yeah,
know it's been 1 week, man, but the fact that we hired Shane Waldron, that's all the talk was about Shane Waldron, around Shane Waldron this year, and he was like, he was on over every radio station I listened to, and I heard so much and saw so much of Shane Waldron. And then me, you, and Darius thought it was important that we do a show about Thomas Brown, because what did I say when we did that show? He's the least talked about thing that occurred in this offseason. And I understand that. Fields was
it
traded,
was my
Caleb was
favorite hire
drafted,
for their coaching
Swift
staff.
was signed, Allen was traded for a lot of big
The
things.
coaching staff had a lot of moves too. Eric Washington, Shane
Yeah.
Waldron,
And
Kerry Joseph
you
coming
just
chat,
it's fate that the guy that you touted so highly in the offseason just failed miserably. And there just so happened to be a former play caller who coached a rookie quarterback on your bench who called the game exactly the way you needed it to be, like, you know what I mean? The way we've been calling for this entire time. He came on 1 week and fixed all the things that we saw glaring. And I said this to you guys on the House Hall Hangover before the Packers game. Don't you think that Thomas Brown's been sitting on the bench watching this? Like, I mean, come on.
I could do better
Like,
than this.
do you think it's just driving him nuts? Like, why?
All this,
Why are you doing this stuff? It just doesn't make sense. And Thomas,
all,
it looks to me after 1 week that was what he was thinking. Like, why is DeAndre Swift not have the ball 50% of the
I
game?
mean, I don't know that Thomas Brown is even a dude who would think like that based on the way he's approaching his business. Like he was probably just
You
trying to
don't
do
think
his
he's
job
itching?
to the
Like,
best of the.
you don't think though, because leaders, man, are Dr. Phil said narcissists always make good leaders, because you're thinking to yourself, man, I could do this so much better. You know what I mean? Like, I
For
could,
sure.
Dustin, you told me this when you were my direct superior at a job. Treat your job like you were the person, like you're doing the job of the person above you. Like, that's how you want to be, that's how you want to handle yourself.
That's how you get that
So
job.
I
That's how
think
you
that's
get
the
that
way
job.
Thomas Brown handled himself in that building. You know what I mean?
Listen, man, I think it comes down to if he is successful for the rest of the season as the Bears offensive coordinator, and it's such a jump from like passing game coordinator. He was an offensive coordinator for a few games because of circumstance in Carolina. He's been with good coaching staffs in St. Louis, in Los Angeles with the Rams, and he was an assistant head coach for that team. But it's such a jump from his position right now to head coach. But is it worth it? Like, if you feel like you have the right guy in your building right now, is it worth it to just maybe his struggle for a little bit at that head coaching role? Maybe he's not ready for it, but he's going to be. And if we don't get him now, he's going to go somewhere else and be really successful. I mean, I think that could be something that the Bears are going to have to strongly consider by the time the season's over, Or this week we could see a really good defense, shut this offense down, and then we're talking about back to the drawing board again on how do we get this offense
Well,
going.
and the Bears are also in a unique situation where they get to assess a potential coaching candidate in 2025, literally inside their own building, right? So you're going to see, because the issues that the Bears are having with these coaches, which is another issue, as Dustin, after my last headline dead or alive in our life, man. I want to jump into something else that I really, really want to discuss. But you get to watch this guy up close and personal. If Caleb Williams and this team respond well to Thomas Brown, that says something in itself because we've seen these Bears players are not timid in speaking their voices in with the public media. You know what I mean? So if
Yeah.
these players get behind this guy, we're gonna know, even as fans, we're gonna know if the players like this guy. You know what I mean? After the Packers game, did they say a thing about calls?
About the play calls? No,
Yeah.
no, it wasn't like, oh, that's just what we went with. I
All
mean,
all I
well,
heard
here
is
the call to the
all I heard is he gets the play calling really quick. That's all I heard.
no, yeah, no, there was nothing but praise for Thomas Brown and how he approached the entire week. The only thing I heard a player really say offhandedly was DJ Moore referring to why they didn't go for more yards before the field goal, and that was a Matt Eberflus decision, not a Thomas
Yeah.
Brown decision.
Yeah.
Thomas
Those were the
Brown
formats.
right now is loved by everybody in that building. It seems like so. He's got to have some success this week. He's got to carry that over, and you got to be more successful. Honestly, man, like he said, you don't get attaboys for losing, So like 19 points is not a lot of points. You still the right amount of points is the amount of points that beats the team you're playing. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and with the
Thomas
time the
Brown
Bears had
will
with the
get this
time the Bears
offense
had
rolling
left and
this week.
with the time the Bears had left and a timeout, I'll be honest with you, I feel like had Thomas Brown been calling plays for years, Dustin, he's going for a touchdown there. You know what I mean?
Why not take a shot at it? I mean,
Yeah.
you can't go back and retrace your steps on
No,
this.
I'm
It is
just
what
saying.
it is.
So this is what I said to you guys last week, and I firmly believe it now. The more Thomas Brown gets comfortable as a play caller, and the more Caleb gets comfortable with the play calling, Thomas Brown's going to open up a little more and take a little more shots. I really, really believe that's what's going to occur. You're going to see this play
Well,
out.
you saw that in
This
that
is
game.
this
We
is
talked
called
about that.
this is called developing a quarterback, right? You need this guy to take risks. And Thomas Brown said before he ever coached, when Waldron was fired, they asked Thomas Brown about his approach to the game and especially you're a passing game coordinator, so how are you going to fix the Bears? That's what a lot of questions were directed towards. And he said, well, I don't think that you should be afraid to pass in this league, and I don't think a rookie quarterback should be should be encouraged to be afraid. You need to take risks, and a quarterback should be encouraged to do that. And he said, when you're missing throws big time, under and over, you're afraid to take risks. That's what you're doing.
You're
You're
trying to
not.
direct the ball,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, instead of
you're not
playing loose,
allowing the
man.
receiver to play because you think the DB is too close. When you have to trust these. Like he just basically said, the growth of a quarterback is mistakes.
And the biggest
It's
key
what
to
it is.
Thomas and the biggest key to Thomas Brown's job right now is to instill confidence in Caleb Williams to where Caleb feels like he can take those risks. And like we said, throughout that game, you saw it change. On fourth down with the game on the line, that he throws a ball downfield, a back shoulder throw to Roma Dunze. Thomas Brown trusted Caleb to make that throw and make that decision.
And
So
man,
that's going to continue
Caleb
to happen. Yeah.
and Thomas Brown's blessed to have a rookie quarterback, who, from what we've seen so far, responds really well to throwing an interception. Caleb does not. I'm really impressed by Caleb's ability to turn the ball over, pick himself up, dust himself off, and move on to the next one. A lot of Bears in Chicago allow one mistake to dictate the rest of their game, sometimes the rest of their future. Dustin, Rex Grossman was a guy who just couldn't overcome a mistake. He mentally couldn't overcome the fact that he made an error. And and Caleb Williams in that Jacksonville game threw a pick to a team that had none the entire year. Caleb Williams threw the first interception of Jacksonville
It was
Jaguars,
a bad
and
throw, an
and after
overthrow. Yeah.
that, he threw 4 touchdowns. So, I mean, like
Or no,
Brown's
sorry, it
got.
was an underthrow. It was an
So
under. He
you have
put
a
some share.
quarterback that
Yeah,
you should encourage to take chances with, because it's not going to break him if he makes a mistake. You know what I mean?
for sure. And that's what you want to see this week going into this game. Do you got more headlines, deadlines, lifelines?
I had one more. Yes, I do have one more.
Okay.
Jamar Chase currently leads all skill players in fantasy points, meaning non-quarterbacks. Chase should be paid more than Justin Jefferson.
I don't know that fantasy points dictates that. I mean, I think production on the field is it equates those fantasy points.
Yeah, I was gonna
But
say,
you
man,
also
what do you
want to
think? What
be,
do you think? What do you think fantasy
but
points
he's not
are?
going to be like, hey, look at my fantasy points when he's negotiating his contract.
My
He's going to be
point was he's
like,
been
look at my
overall
yards.
statistically, he's
Listen, it's
contributed the
gonna be
most.
it's gonna be right in line with Justin. It's I mean, one more year waiting, the price is gonna go up for sure. And if the Bengals want to keep him, they're gonna have to pay a hefty price because if he hits the open market, teams are going to bid high on him. So yeah, no, he's gonna be the highest paid receiver in the NFL by the time he resigns his contract, but it's not gonna be by much. I mean, Justin Jefferson is very highly paid, very highly paid. So
All right, one more, man.
okay.
There's a starting forward injured for the Chicago Bulls, and Patrick
Patrick
Williams,
Williams, yeah.
Modest Buzelis, the 11th, I believe the 11th overall pick in the draft, still only played 6 minutes. Billy Donovan has been deserving of termination longer than Matt Eberflus.
Yeah, it's awful, man. I mean, I was so disappointed when they
That's a
announced their
headline, right?
secret
Because
contract
because we
extension
address
last
a
year.
Bears fan base so much that like I would love to hear what the I would love to hear what
Dude,
the average
nobody
what the
cares.
standard fan base in Chicago thinks, because Billy Donovan should have been fired long before Matty Eberflus's name even hit that conversation.
I think Bulls fans have stopped caring, man. I mean, I don't know that anybody's even paying attention, to be honest. Like, there's so much attention on the
Well, now
Bears
you
in this
can't
city.
watch. That didn't help him.
Yeah, no, that's another the CHSN or whatever new network that
Yeah,
they're on. Yeah, no,
yeah,
I mean,
that was it. I don't want to dive too deep into the Bulls.
no, but fuck the Bulls, man. Fuck the Bulls for doing that. Fuck the Bulls for maintaining this whole mediocrity bullshit with our Arturas Karnisovas. You draft a guy. I mean, you're in a rebuild. Stop acting like you're not. You draft a guy like Matas Buzelis to fucking maybe see what he can do, and you have the perfect opportunity, like you're saying, with Patrick Williams to out to play this guy and see what he has, and he's playing what the least minutes of any rookie drafted in the top 15 in the league. It's not like
And
the Bulls
and
have all this talent
and
to keep him on the fucking bench.
guys who here's what's funny, man. What's his name? Julian Phillips and Dalen Terry both played more minutes, double the minutes that Buzelis played, and neither one of those guys, both those guys were on the roster all year last year, and neither of them ever played. And now you draft a guy 11th overall, and now it's like, well, now these guys should play. And you know what else doesn't make sense? Even with a healthy Patrick Williams, this is a team that's not achieving anything this season and should be aware of
Exactly.
that. This is
Exactly.
of all the guys drafted top 10, like you said, or drafted top 15, this team probably justifies the most a guy like that playing.
Well, but
You know
like
what I
you got
mean?
the Wizards. No, there's teams that don't
No,
have talent on
I
their
mean,
roster,
well, yeah, but
and they're playing their
you
guys.
know, there's
They're
some
playing
teams
their guys.
that don't need to see what their rookies got because they've already got a good roster,
Yeah, that
a
was
good
my point.
rotation. And yeah, it's just it's
Billy
this
Donovan
guy's
should be fired. Billy Donovan should have been fired. I don't know if that's gonna happen anytime soon, though. Still, I mean, if they're rebuilding and they don't have expectations now, how much longer does he last? How much longer does AK last? I mean, I don't know, dude. I'm so This is the most disenchanted I've been with a Bulls team in my entire life. I'm just so disconnected from them from where I've been in my life, man. I've never missed a Bulls game throughout my life.
yeah.
This year,
Yeah,
I'm not really into
let's
it.
move on from him, man. Let's move on from
Fuck the
him.
Bulls.
All right.
What are we moving on
Yeah,
to? You want to touch on the injury report for this game?
yeah, unless you have I don't have any news from the Bears. I didn't hear anything this week. Guess that's good,
Well,
right?
I know it's all pretty quiet now that they have a competent play caller and the players aren't
Yeah.
throwing under the bus. I mean, Matt Eberflus is still an idiot. I still hate hearing him talk.
Yeah. I don't
There's
even
that.
listen anymore. I can't, man. I turn it off. You know what's
Uh,
funny?
I like to listen to their nuggets.
David Kaplan this morning was talking about Matt Eberflus's inability to speak and pretty like sternly, you know what I mean? Like pretty maliciously. And
Yeah, and he talks to Eberflus once a week.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking to myself, like, he interviews this guy literally once a week on this show that he's currently
Yeah.
saying.
Isn't this awkward
Yeah,
for you
yeah,
guys when
yeah.
you and then, hey, coach, how's it going? What the
No,
fuck was
no,
that play?
a guy called in once and said to Hoodie, "I dare you to ask this question to Matt Eberflus." I think it was, "Do you believe you should be the coach, a head coach of the Chicago Bears?" And Hoodie's like, "Don't threaten me with good time. You think I won't ask?" He's like, "I'll ask. I'll ask anything." He's like, "I'll ask whatever I want to ask. That's my job."
Yeah, and
Like
shit. I've been thinking that for a while, listening to
he went
Cap,
off.
man. I've been thinking that for a while. Like, and he's even got the attitude when they're talking to him. And I'm like, if I was Eberflus, would I even show up for this fucking interview? Like, he's got to be contractually obligated to this. He's like, this guy is running me through the mud all week, and then I got to talk to him on Monday mornings after I get my ass kicked for the fucking fourth time in a row. It's like that's got to be tough, man. I mean, I don't know. If I was Eberflus, I'd be talking shit to Cap. I'd be talking, but I guess Eberflus don't got much to stand on right now because he
No, I
can't
think
win.
if Eberflus Dustin was the guy who'd go on there and talk some shit to Cap, he'd probably be a good head coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, like
He'd
Dan Campbell would not be listening to that all week and then get on with him Monday morning and be all buddy with him, bro.
no,
No way.
no, and guys like those have something to defend them. So you know, what I mean, they have defense, they have artillery. Like they could say, "Hey, man, I'm doing my job. You shut the you know what I mean?"
Yeah, yeah.
When you're a guy who's getting slandered by the media, you really got to assess, am I deserving of what I'm hearing? You know, so.
Yeah, no. When it comes down to Flus, man, all you need to know is that after a game in which his defense gave up the game-winning touchdown and his special teams could not make the game-winning field goal, had it blocked, he said the team played good complementary football. I mean, how oblivious are you? And that's just come on. That's all you need to know
I
about
don't
Matt.
think it's oblivious. I don't think it's like being naive. I think it's being what word am I looking for? I think he's aware of it. He's pretending not to be. I don't.
Okay, well, disingenuous
Exactly.
would be the word it comes to mind for me for that. No, not much news, man. I mean, we can get on to the
What's up,
injury.
Shorty?
Shorty in the building. Greetings, sir. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate your loyalty showing up with us every
Yeah,
week.
the injury report looks okay for the first time in a
Pull this
long
real quick.
time.
Shorty, sorry I didn't get to. I didn't see the notification come across for y'all show tonight, but I was very busy at work, so um, sorry about that. Sorry I couldn't join. Yeah, no, injury report wise, did not participate. You got Karan Amagaji, Bates. Karan's got the calf, Bates concussion protocol, Hicks with the ankle, and then Mercedes Lewis gets his day of rest like he gets every week. Those were your did not participates. Limited was DeAndre Swift with the groin, but that's a good sign because he was a DMP yesterday. So Flus sounded like when he talked about it yesterday that he had some confidence in him. It seemed that way, and he participated.
Yeah, and he doesn't usually talk about injuries. He did make it sound positive.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a good thing going into this game. We need DeAndre Swift. And then the big one here, the full participant, Tevin Jenkins, after being limited yesterday. So,
You
and
know
that's
what?
what
Yeah, can I be honest with you about something, man? That almost disappointed me.
oh, because you want to see Curran?
I want to see. Well, what I really want to see is Tevin Jenkins on the right, next to Darnell Wright, and I want to see Curran on the left and Pryor off the field.
Well, Curran's probably going to play on the right if Bates ain't going.
Jenkins should go back over there, man.
Here's the reality, Brandon. I don't expect Tevin Jenkins to make it through this game. So Tevin Jenkins will find himself on the field
I
after
would
a play,
start
laying on
Curran,
the.
Dustin. I would start Curran over Pryor.
I mean,
No, man, no, that guy got bull wrist on the game-winning play.
Pryor had a really bad game last week. Pryor is at.
No, are you talking about against Green Bay?
Yeah.
He had a bad week the week before. He
No,
was like
he's
the worst player on the field. Yeah.
They were all bad. They were all bad. At least, I mean, it stood out a little more. Shorty says he'd love to have us as a guest sometimes. That would be awesome, man. Yeah, we should work that out. Yeah, I don't know. How do you do that? How you have your people contact my people? But no, I would love to do that. I love the vibe of you guys' show, Shorty, on Bears Country.
Yeah, it's funny,
Productions.
man. I would definitely love to be a part of that. That'd be cool to do. Yeah.
So this week we're looking at Braxton Jones, Tevin Jenkins. Shorty's commenting on what you're talking about here. We talked about this tonight. Tevin is a right guard, period. He won't command big money because of injuries, but wherever he does go, it will be at right guard.
Him and Darnell Wright last year played so well together, man.
It
So well
was
together.
actually like a positive thing about that offensive line in the Bears Country podcast. At Bears Country Podcast. Yeah. Okay. We'll hit you up. gmail.com. All right, Shorty. Appreciate you. We'll hit you up, man.
Yeah, we'll get that worked out for sure, Shorty.
No, yeah, that was definitely a bright side of this Bears offense last year. It was like that they could. It seemed like you could solidify one side, of the line and actually feel comfortable running behind it. So like I could see that. I could see Tevin Jenkins being at right guard. I think what it comes down to with Tevin Jenkins, though, man, is availability, is his health. I don't expect him to make it through this game. I'm not being
Well, I
funny
thought
when I say that.
I visibly thought Jake Curran played really well at left guard, and then I saw the PFF numbers, and he did. He's graded really well. I
Not really well. It was like above average slightly. It wasn't any, but I mean, like, I don't.
But
He did the eye
he had a
test. He
grade
did look
he
good.
had a grade in the 80s.
Oh, for run blocking, I believe.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Pryor's just been really bad the
I
last
think he
couple
was like a
weeks.
69
And
overall.
Pryor was beat on the field goal, man. Pryor's been it's time. It's time. Pryor was, you know what I mean? Pryor's not. You said it yourself, Dustin. The guy's paid like $1 million a year. So it's a very small. This guy was here for depth. If Curran can
He
come in
wasn't
here,
brought here to be the starting right guard. That's for sure.
Curran was a 3rd-round pick last year. If this guy can come in here and play quality football, do it.
And it could, and like I said last week, that could make Tevin Jenkins expendable potentially.
Yeah, you
You
could have
don't
a
want to
guard.
tie
You
up
could
a
have
lot
a
of money in a
starting
guy that
guard for
can't stay
next
healthy.
season. Which Dustin, if you figure that out, if you had Darnell Wright and Jay Curran, who's a starting guard for you next year, you know which 3 positions you need the most.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to feel comfortable with left tackle going into next year, but we'll see. I don't know that I wouldn't. Shorty says he's given up all hope with the team as long as the McCaskies run the organization. Any and every hire is still a McCaskey hire. Yeah, we talked about that on our Monday show as well, man.
Yeah.
I don't. That's what. Go ahead, Brandon.
Well, no. So the injury report. Sorry. No, go ahead. Finish what you were saying about this, because
What I
there's
was
something
gonna
I really, really want to talk about tonight.
what I was gonna say is like I 100% agree with Shorty here. I mean, if the Bears are hiring a coach that's not already established in this NFL as a leader, somebody that's gonna have their own culture that they can establish and bring here, I think a rookie head coach just gets crushed by the culture of this organization.
This is what I want to talk about, man. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I love your view over this, right? Your belief is that a rookie quarterback or a rookie head coach. Well, by that, guys, we mean somebody who is a coordinator in this league. Oh,
Who's
obviously,
earned an opportunity, done it well. Yeah.
a successful play caller and coordinator in this league, but had never been a head coach. Dustin, your belief is that this organization is just as influential over a head coach, a
As
rookie
a
head
bad
coach,
head coach is over a rookie quarterback.
as we have been over rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah, as a bad head coach can be, or a bad
Cap
offensive
and
coordinator. Yep.
Cap and Hood said yesterday that they just don't trust this organization to identify a leader. So I want to ask you, man, do you think the shortcomings in our head coaching tenures or our head coaching candidates over the last, let's say, decade, man, are due to the inability to identify a leader in an interview, or we hire leaders and we infiltrate their mind in order because they feel like they have to do whatever it is they need to do to continue to earn the opportunity to be the Bears head coach?
I've said it, man. I think the Bears are looking for yes men. when they make these hires, and I think that has a lot to do with the McCaskies, as Shorty's pointing out. There's also a conspiracy theory here that it looks like
Well, so Dustin, let me ask you
about
this then.
Muggs Hallis' death. I just think the Bears they hire guys
Let me
that
ask you this then. Are yes
scare
men
them as becoming
leaders?
more popular than the franchise. I think
Are
they
yes men leaders?
no, hell no, not at all.
So
No, they never will
so
be
you think
because they're not doing it their
so
way.
you think it's do you think so which do you think is a bigger problem? Not the inability to identify a leader or corrupting one before he's ever given a chance to be one?
Well, I think they both go hand in hand. I think the Bears'
Do you
inability to
believe that the Bears have hired a leader and made him a non a an inferior? Do you think the Bears have made a person submissive versus
no, they're
controlling?
looking for that. They're looking for that. It's predetermined by their perspective going into it. You know what I'm saying? Like they have a certain thing that they're looking for, so their search, no matter how wide they might cast it, it's already decided. You know what I'm saying? Like they've already kind of decided in their
Yeah,
head going in
absolutely. Yeah. No, they're
predetermined.
looking. The person they want is the mold of a failing head coach.
Basically, they
Yeah.
create that by determining that that's the type of person that they
Yeah.
want. In my mind, yeah.
And a football team, guys, 53 grown men who are paid to go out there and beat the hell out of each other are not easy to lead. This takes, you know what I mean? People
Do you
undermine
see what
this.
Shorty's saying here? He said, especially when you do a deep dive into Muggs Hallis' death and his share of inheritance being written out of the will by the McCaskies. Like this is some succession shit here, but on a whole crazy level. Muggs Hallis's ex-wife and children took the McCaskies to court over being written out of the will. I know very little about this. I'll just be very upfront. They exhumed his body for a second autopsy and found all of his organs had been replaced with sawdust.
What?
Like a sawdust liver. Like was it molded in the shape? That's insane. That's crazy.
Anyways, guys, what it takes to lead 53 grown men whose job is to be violent. It's
This is
tough.
facts, he said.
It takes a very specific individual, and
Mm.
I believe personally, Dustin's correct. This is negligence because you can identify this person in a conversation in 15 minutes. Can you not, Dustin? A man that you believe can lead 53 grown ass men.
I
You
don't think you can
you you
identify it in
you
15 minutes. No, I think it takes a lot of work and a lot of research. And you got to look at the past and you got to look at the
you
future of
you
where the
should
league's
be able
going.
to sit down with this individual and know this person should command your attention and respect. This person should dominate the room. This person should be in charge of this person should be in charge of the conversation with the GM who's interviewing them.
I'm
This
definitely going
like
to look
this.
into this, Shorty.
I don't want to beat this to death, but I thought that was interesting, man. His take versus Cap's take versus yours. They can't identify a leader versus they just corrupt the people they hire no matter what. And
I don't know that
now
it's.
you have now you have they can't identify a leader versus your new argument, which is they choose against hiring a leader. They want a person who's submissive.
No, yeah, that's what I was going to say. And
And that, Dustin, will that always
that's
be
what creates
will
the
that always be
environment.
the dagger in the side
Yes,
of this
that's what Shorty's
organization?
saying here. Basically, that's what
Yeah.
Shorty's saying here. Basically, they don't want a person that will a Bill Belichick type coach would become the identity of the Chicago Bears franchise. You know what I'm saying? Like he
Yeah, but
he he would
don't
become
don't
the
bad
face.
coaches don't bad coaches become your identity?
No, for sure. But I mean,
The
like
face
the
of your
outward,
organization?
the outward face that takes all the credit. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, the Bears got their history they lean on. They got their fans that are still going to show up every fucking week, and they have all of that. They don't want someone that becomes bigger than
I
that.
agree
Than
with
the
you, man.
loom.
This is I think and to me, Dustin, this is huge. Like we're just chatting this we're riffing like we do. We do this over text a lot, but this is you have to try to identify the problem at its roots And we know it's the McCaskies. We know it's in the leadership somewhere. But is this it? Is this right here it? The Bears intentionally choose not to hire somebody who could lead a winning football team because they want a guy who's submissive enough to say yes to their requests. And that guy, as me and you established, is
Is not a
not
leader
not a leader enough
and
to
never will be.
lead 53
Yeah.
grown violent men.
Yep.
And that is the Bears' deep rooted problem. And when Ryan Poles goes to make this hire, we will know, guys. We will know immediately who he hires, whether or not he's following the order. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but then
If
what's it say about Poles too? Is Poles that same person?
that's what I'm saying, Dustin, we'll know right. We'll know if he's following the order or if he's gone rogue, if he's acting on his own, if he is trying to
Shorty
change this organization from the inside out, literally.
Shorty says
But
Harbaugh a threat, Belichick a threat. This is why nearly every head coach has been a first-time head coach. So he's echoing exactly what we're saying, man. And yeah, I think that is at the root of the problem. And I think that their want of that, and that's what they're more concerned about. That creates that toxic environment. You're not
well, yeah, but a threat
breeding
to what?
success.
A threat to what? A threat to control over the organization? Because I feel like a losing coach in Eberflus almost has the same power, doesn't he, as a coach
No,
who's constantly on the front of the news, you know what, on the front page of the news, because Eberflus is all we ever talk about.
yeah, but it's about his ineptitude. But the Bears are still the Bears. They're still the flag with all the logos, established 1920, circa 1940, 1946. That is still bigger than what that coach is, and I think that that's what matters to the people that are running this organization more than anything. Not their future, their past, and they don't want that tarnished. I think it was brought up in the chat last week by Ryan. I can't remember who it was, but basically saying, like Dicka scared them, and that might have been the Abe Lincoln, but Dicka scared them away from coaches like that because he became bigger than the franchise. He became the face of the organization. I think there's a lot of merit to that statement, to that theory, man. I really do. And again, at the end of the day, we're just hypothesizing all of it and giving our theories and perceptions of it. But there's got to be some kind of explanation for, there's got to be some kind of explanation as to why this continues to happen. Why you can. It's this moron head coach who's an offensive coordinator, and it's this moron head coach after that who was a defensive coordinator. I mean, even John Fox, when they hired him, what did John Fox have to prove? What did John Fox bring to this team? He didn't have any.
Well, John Fox wasn't a leader
authority.
either.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, no accountability. The Bears do not like hiring somebody, which is so strange, man. Like we talked about how backwards this organization is. You don't want somebody in charge of your team who has accountability, which just obviously points the glass at you, right? Like if the people you put in place can't take accountability for the things that are going wrong, who's everybody going to look at? You know what I mean? You think you'd want to just hire somebody who can let this thing take care of itself and leave it alone. Like if you're George, just let somebody take care of it and back away from it, man, and make some money. Because the more you win, the more you will. You know what I mean? It's just I don't even get the approach. Doesn't make
It's
sense.
one of two things, man. It's they intentionally do it in order to maintain the status quo of them being the stars of the show, or it's them just having absolutely no idea what they're doing.
They're the problem.
And no idea on how to get out of their own way. Yeah. Like their ego's too big to admit that,
which of course is what it is. Yeah.
It's probably a combination of both.
But George wants to be. George is Jerry Jones. People don't realize how comparable those two are.
I think if you're aspiring to be Jerry Jones, you should look at their results too. Jerry Jones only got results when he actually gave control of his team
To
to
Jimmy
really,
Johnson.
well, yeah, to Jimmy Johnson and to Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells was that kind of coach. Jerry Jones, those teams had pretty decent success. They were good football teams a lot of the time. I mean, like when in the past few like couple decades, Bill Parcells has been the head coach of the Cowboys, and Mike McCarthy has been the head coach of the Cowboys. I mean, they've done the Jason Garrett thing as well, the offensive coordinator, hotshot guy that takes the head coaching job. I mean, but like what have the Bears had in that period of time? They've had Lovie Smith, Dick Duran before that. I think one playoff appearance for Dick Duran. Lovie Smith was obviously pretty successful, but then you're going to Mark Trestman, and you're going to John Fox, and you're going to Matt Nagy, and I mean, just the amount of coaches that you've hired. I just don't see how the Bears can't be like looking in the mirror, the people who make these decisions, and saying, like, we're doing it the wrong way, obviously. You look at a franchise like the Steelers, who we watched tonight, and I said it earlier, I watched the Steelers and I'm like, I just wish the Bears would play like that. I just wish the Bears would make decisions like that. I just wish the Bears could have a coach like that. They've had 3 head coaches since like the 1970s, man. Like the Steelers are like, why not model yourself after that? And I guess it's easier said than done in terms of finding those really good head coaches that have staying power, but the Bears haven't even been close. So it's time to change up how you're doing things. And if McCaskey's been involved in all these coaching hires, he's the common denominator, right? He's the common denominator. You've had different GMs, all these different head coaches, different presidents. Well, it was Ted Phillips for most of that time. We thought he was the common denominator at one point. I think he was that scapegoat, but McCaskey has been the common denominator in all these failed head coaching decisions. So take yourself out of the fucking equation, dude. Take yourself out of the equation. That's what I would do if I was in his position.
And even if you're not going to hire a guy who's going to become the face of your organization, hire somebody that makes sense for your roster, man, because they really don't do that either. But
or hire someone that completely reshape the roster in their mold and let that take a year or two to happen. Honestly, like the problem with the Flus thing from the beginning, to me, I thought it was a terrible hire from the moment they made it, because I don't think he had any idea on what he wanted a roster to be. And there's clearly been no alignment between Poles and Flus in terms of that.
Well,
and I think a big part of that is Flus is just over his skis. He doesn't know.
I'll disagree with you a little bit there. I think Kyler Gordon was a Flus pick, and I think TJ Edwards was a Flus signing. I think those guys, and I think Gervon Dexter was a Flus pick as well, man.
Yeah, but if I'm the head coach and I'm saying that the 3 technique is the most important position on my defense, it took 2 years to draft one.
I'm drafting Jalen Carter.
Yeah, exactly. You draft Jalen Carter. If I'm telling my GM the one position I need the most to run my defense is a 3 technique defensive tackle, I'm going to take the guy in the top 10 who is generational at that position for my coach. That's what I would expect as that coach telling that GM that. There's no alignment there, So I mean, like,
all right, I don't know, man. Let's talk about alignment, Dustin. Are you willing to hire a head coach? Are you willing to fire Ryan Poles in order to hire a head coaching candidate?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I think Poles is going to get another shot. I think he's done enough to deserve it, but at the end of the day, I would like just a reset on this. But again, man, it comes back to the people that run this organization, and if it fucking matters at all, will it just be the same story rewritten with different characters? Like that's what I worry about. I mean, Poles has done some good things. Poles has done some bad things. He took over a very cap-strapped team that didn't have a lot of talent. So I mean, it's been impressive what he's
Poles when it comes to money. I'll trust Poles would trust Poles forever as a GM when it comes to cap. I
Shorty
mean,
says exactly, Dustin. We all knew Eberflus was a bad hire, but we are just fans, as George claims to be. Yet George puts his underwear on backwards, and we all know what a FB team looks like.
Facebook.
I don't know what that a Facebook team looks like.
Football.
A football team. We're so stupid.
He said it. He said Shorty said football. Anyways, you want to dive into this Bears Vikings, you moron? I said football, Shorty, before you said it. I just want credit for that.
He ran out of space, so he had to fit it in there. Appreciate you, Shorty.
It was the capitalization that burned me, bro. Anyways.
This game coming up this Sunday, man. It's a home game for the Bears against the Vikings, who are 8-2, correct?
Correct.
It doesn't look good when you look at the stats. It doesn't look good at all.
It's not going to, Dustin, against any opponent remaining on the Bears schedule.
No. It's gonna be bad, I think. The Vikings are just are pretty damn good, you know. Justin Jefferson, Sam Darnold's having a good season. He's throwing for 2,387 yards, 19 touchdowns. He's got 10 interceptions, which is a lot. He'll throw you the ball.
And a lot lately.
You got Justin Jefferson, 59 receptions. He's got 912 receiving yards. That's second in the NFL, and 5 touchdowns. And they got Aaron Jones, man. So their offensive line is really solid. Garrett Bradbury, they just traded for Cam Robinson. I mean, they've got some players.
And they have a really quality defense.
The Bears are 3.5-point underdogs at home. Underdogs again in a divisional game at home for the second week in a row.
I'll take that spread all day.
Hey, thanks, Shorty. Thanks for being here. Happy Thanksgiving, man. Bear down, bear up. Bear sideways.
Thanksgiving, Shorty.
Yeah, man. I hope you have a good one, you and your family. Defensively, dude, this is impressive. You got Greenard, Andrew Van Ginkel, Pace, and Cashman. Those are your 4 linebackers. Greenard has 7 sacks. Van Ginkel has 8 sacks. He also has 2 interceptions. Throw those in there. Pace and Cashman each have 3 sacks. So you're talking about 21 sacks just from those 4. That's kind of scary when you think about them.
And what is Dallas Turner at?
Dallas Turner only has 1 sack this season. I mean, he's a backup rotational player. Shorty leaves us with this too. We as Bears fans have to think backwards now, so it's bear up for me. Yeah, I got you. We got to think backwards to get in line with them. I don't want to do it.
Yeah, those linebackers get home a lot, man, and that's what Brian Flores does. He blitzes the hell out of you, and you're
38.
Right,
let me say this:
number 1 in the league, but
38.8%. 38.8%. It's second in the league to the Broncos. They blitz often, and they blitz well. Like you said, they get home. Their secondary is really good too, man. Cam Bynum, their free or strong safety. No, free safety. He has 3 interceptions, 8 passes defended. Byron Murphy, 4 interceptions. He's their nickel cornerback, 8 passes defended. Harrison Smith, 2 interceptions. Their strong safety, 2 interceptions, 7 passes defended. So between those 3 guys, they got 9 interceptions and 23 passes defended. So their secondary is pretty damn good too, man. Their secondary is pretty damn good.
Yeah, I've owned them in fantasy all season, man, and they pretty much get double-digit points every week. Honest to God, I mean, it's like a starting flex player. This defense,
dude. Offensively, I didn't mention Aaron Jones. I mentioned Aaron Jones, but I wanted to mention this in particular against the Bears in his career. 147 carries for 712 yards. He's got 11 touchdowns. That's in 13 games against the Bears. Aaron Jones routinely cleans up against the Bears. He always breaks a big play. He's always broken the Bears' backs in those Packers matchups. Aaron Jones always just runs roughshod over the Bears. So, I mean, he's still got that going into this week where he gets to play the Bears again, and
Let
I
me
think
let me
he
let
can
me
go
read
off.
you, let me read you this Minnesota defense fantasy points real quick. All right, starting week 1, obviously.
Make sure you
24 points, 15 points, 15 points, 10 points, 17 points, 12 points. They had a bad week, 1 point, 12, 13, 13. This defense in fantasy has had 1 week without getting double digit points. they they are a defense that makes plays as well as stout. You know what I
Yep,
mean? They
yep.
take the ball away, they get sacks, they score touchdowns, they do everything well.
Since we're
So
talking about this, the Vikings' opponents' points per game is 17th. 17 points per game. That's fourth in the league. Opponents' points per play, 0.278. That's fourth in the league. Opponents' yards per game, 309. That's 10th in the league. Opponents' yards per play, they're allowing 5.1. Just for perspective, the Bears' points per game for their opponents is 18.7, and that's seventh. Their Bears' opponents' points per play is 0.32. That's eighth. Yards per game, 327, 14th. I mean, the Bears defense is something we've been lauding all season. And I mean, it's taken some steps back for sure. But the Vikings defense is just better than the Bears. Turnover margin, the Bears are at plus 0.9, the Vikings at plus 0.4. So they do generate turnovers, but they also turn the ball over. So the Vikings will give you a chance. They've been in some tight games here the last couple of weeks, and they seem to be coming back down to earth, but they also keep finding ways to win. But yeah, this defense it is better than the Bears defense in basically every statistical category. I mean, it's hard to find what the Bears are better at than the Vikings on either side of the ball, Brandon. Either side of the ball. Let's see here. Opponents' yards per rush for the Vikings, 3.6. Teams are averaging 3.6 yards per rush against the Vikings. That's phenomenal, dude. Yards per pass, 7. The Bears are allowing 4.8 yards per rush. So that's concerning. That's concerning. The Vikings do it all better than them. They do it all better than them. I guess the Bears are better on third down against their opponents on defense. So you hope that the Bears can get them into some third down situations. Eric Washington was talking about that today. The Packers didn't face a lot of third downs against the Bears because when they had the ball, they moved it in big chunks. They didn't really end up in a lot of third down situations. So you want to get the Vikings in some 3rd and 7s or longer and try to force them to have to make a play in those situations because the Bears are good at stopping on third down. They are, but the Vikings defense is really good. 3.6 yards per rush, Brandon. That's what they're allowing. Going to be a
yeah,
tough week.
this team might have the best offensive defensive coach duo in the NFL between Flores and O'Connell. This is why I thought
Wow.
this Vikings team was going to be successful, regardless of who's playing quarterback. I also believe this, guys. If JJ McCarthy was playing quarterback, this is still a really, really tough football team because this coach puts a player in the best position possible and asks him to do the things that he does well. And Darnold's going to be tough to play against, the same as Love and Goff and anybody else in this division.
Darnold's going to throw an interception in this game, though. That's going to happen, and hopefully it's a big play. Hopefully it's something that changes the flow of this game because Darnold will, like I said, 10 interceptions on the season, so he has the propensity to give away the ball, and I think the Bears will find a way to take one away. They always seem to against these quarterbacks that will do it. So they'll be in position to take advantage when he makes a mistake because Darnold will make some mistakes in this game. But yeah, I mean, he also has thrown 19 touchdowns. So they move the ball down the field really well. How do you stop Justin Jefferson in this game, man? If I'm the Vikings, I just line him up on Tyreek Stevenson's side every fucking time and and run go routes. Like Stevenson can't keep up with him. I mean, I didn't look up Justin Jefferson's stats against this Bears team, but I mean, the secondary has been giving up chunk plays. They gave up some big pass plays to Drake May and the Patriots too, and then and Jordan Love and the Packers did it to him last week.
Well,
So
and I'm gonna imagine Jonathan Owens is gonna start this football game.
yeah, I would hope so. I mean, why else is he here?
They signed Terrell
No,
Edmonds.
no, they did not. They brought him in for a workout. They brought back Colbert,
Colbert, that's
the
right.
Hard Knocks hero. He was a
Yeah.
big storyline on Hard Knocks. Yes, veteran
Who I
safety.
actually liked. Yeah. But
Yeah, no, I like him too, but I mean, he hasn't been in the building. Owens has. Owens was signed for this reason. I mean, like, why else do you have him on this team if he
Owens
doesn't?
played last week. Owens is gonna start this football game. I don't think Hicks is gonna play. So yeah.
Hicks is definitely not going to play. Let's
So
just
yeah,
say that.
Jefferson beating the Bears over the top is a major concern. Major concern.
Yeah, because like these cornerbacks are going to have. I mean, Justin Jefferson is really hard to keep up with one-on-one for the best cornerbacks in the league. You got to bracket, you got to have safety help, and to not have the safety depth this week or your starter over there. I mean, that's going to be tough, man. That's going to be tough. You're down to your third safety on one side of the field. Yeah, Justin Jefferson could have a big game this Sunday, man. A big game. I'd line him up on Tyreek all day if I was the Vikings.
Yeah, and the Bears defense has looked bad, man. I'm concerned about the Bears defense. I think the Bears defense does get this Minnesota team has looked really good against teams that can't get pressure on Sam Darnold. And
The Bears have not been getting
the
pressure.
Bears look Montez Sweat, I feel so sorry for this guy. Because he's a player that I believe if he has even
I don't feel sorry for Montez
slightly
Sweat.
above average talent across from him, he's probably a 14 to 15 sack player, Sweat, but there's just nothing else to worry about. I mean, if the Packers did the same thing last week, guys, that they did at the very last week of last season, you just make sure Sweat doesn't get home. That's it. Everybody else is just dead weight. And I hate to say this because I was texting you guys this, and I hate to be, I try not to be overreactive, and I try not to discriminate or be biased, but Javon Dexter is not the guy like the Jalen Carter we wanted. He's not a game wrecker.
He's
He's he's he's not a problem. He's a guy who will take advantage of a weaker one-on-one matchup in front of him, or a stunt. He's a really successful player in stunts, but he's not a game
he
wrecker.
needs he needs momentum.
He's not a
He needs
difference
momentum.
maker. So Sweat should be like 14 to 16 sacks in a season, man. But the size guy's only ever going to get 10 on this team because there's just nothing else there.
Do me a favor. Name the guy across from Myles Garrett. Name the guy across from TJ Watt.
Wait, hold on. The guy across from Miles Garrett is a good player. Oh no, they traded him. It was Zadarius
What's his
Smith.
name?
It was Zadarius
Yeah.
Smith till they traded him last week.
Okay, but Myles Garrett had 3 sacks in the first half in this game. Name the guy across from Nick Bosa.
Khalil Mack? Oh no, Nick Bosa. No, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't have. I think it's Leonard Floyd for the Niners, but like my point is that these players that get paid, like Montez Sweat got paid, they still make a fucking impact, dude. You get paid to make that impact. So I don't feel sorry for Montez
You
Sweat.
don't think Sweat's making an impact? I think Sweat's made an impact.
Not like these other guys, not like these guys I just named. And that's what the
I don't
Bears
know. I think
need.
Sweat makes a
That's
pretty
what the
big
Bears
impact.
need.
Sweat impresses me, man. Sweat's made a pretty big impact to me.
I don't have his hurries in front of me, man, but
Sweat's open field tackle on Jaden Daniels was one of the best plays I've seen defensively from the Bears all year.
okay. I don't see the production that warrants what the Bears gave up for him and what they're paying him. I'll just say I'll just say it.
No. I mean, but they needed something. I mean, also I agree with you.
Well,
Justin,
you need something.
Justin, we talked about this
hired
when
Matt
it happened.
Eberflus. You needed something.
I don't agree with the second round pick on top of the $100 million, but that you've said it 100 times on this show before. That's the league we're in. That's the market we're in. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
but you can still pick the wrong guy, dude. You can
But
still pick the
do
wrong
do
guy.
you do you believe that if there's a player across from Sweat who's like a potential threat, like somebody you have to worry about consistently, Sweat's not a better player?
I think any player's job is to beat the person across from them. If you're on the defensive line, if you're on the offensive line, your job is to beat the person across from you.
Unless there's unless
Your job
there's
is not
two
to work.
people across from you.
Yeah, your job is to then beat them. You think Jeffrey Simmons doesn't beat multiple people a game? These guys are defensive game wreckers. Jalen Carter doesn't beat multiple people a game to make a play. That's what you get paid to do, man. And listen, I'm not saying that Montez Sweat is not a good player. I'm just saying that the players that we think of in this league that excel at that position, they win. They win one-on-one when they get the chance, and they will beat two people if they have to make a play that impacts the game.
Yeah,
And I would like to see more of that
we
from
don't have
Montez
that.
Sweat. I don't want to
We
make
don't have
excuses for
that
the
on
guy.
this. We don't have that on this team.
Okay, well, I think we paid Montez Sweat to be that person.
Yeah, but me and you knew he wasn't.
And for sure, but he played better last year. He did. He made an impact better. And what did they have across from him? So it's like I don't really I guess I'm more just commenting on the fact that you're saying because they don't have this person across from them. It's just like saying Caleb Williams is not performing well because he doesn't have enough weapons. It's like good Tom Brady never had really weapons throughout most of his career, but he still found ways to do his job and win games. And the good players do that. And I guess that's just my point. I don't want to make excuses for Montez Sweat. I think we need to see more from him. And he's probably hurt too. He's definitely, which is impacting him. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think
I don't think.
we
I think
should
the
be getting
Bears
more
are
from him.
somewhere. I think the Bears are somewhere in the middle of the rankings in sacks. So I don't think like the Bears.
I know they have 5 sacks in the last 3 games,
The
and I just
Bears. The
don't think
Bears
that that's
pass
enough.
rush is nowhere near like as concerning as their offensive line, but it definitely needs to be addressed in the offseason.
I think they're both equally concerning, to be honest. And yes, they both need to be addressed in the offseason.
Yeah,
They both do.
and
Montez Sweat's going to be here.
I
But
would address that 3 tech spot. I really would.
I'm all for it, man. I'm with it 100%. Listen, again, Montez Sweat is a good player. I like Montez Sweat since he's been on this Bears team. I did not like the trade when they made it, and then the deal that came right after it. I was pretty vocal about that. But he proved me wrong for sure in that second half of last season. But this season, it's I need to see more from him. He needs to make more of an
Yeah,
impact. I
it's
think
been this.
Montez Sweat should be
It's been
saying that to himself. I got to do a better job. I got to
it's
beat.
been disappointing.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm just not going to make excuses for a guy that gets paid that amount of money to do their job. Like, just do your job, and we're good.
So let's get to obviously probably what most people are excited to watch, right? If there's anything that we are excited to watch anymore, is Thomas Brown and Caleb Williams and how this relationship progresses. And
That's why I
what I
made it
really
the thumbnail.
what I really want
Most
to ask you
important.
about, Dustin, is the deep pass is proven to be, I don't know the number. I know it's high. The deep pass has proven to be more successful against the blitz. So do you think this is an area in which the Bears can exploit this football team?
It's hard to say that I think it will be when I haven't seen the deep ball be very effective for this team all season. I think what they did last week can work against this blitz. Quick 3-step drops, get the ball out right away, the screen pass, and then hopefully you open something up. It's really going to come down to if you're blitzing, on damn near 40% of your plays, there's going to be one-on-one matchups. Caleb needs to make a decision quickly and get it out there, whether that's a deep ball or whether it's a quick slant or a crossing route or whatever it is. Caleb just needs to be decisive, and he needs to make the right decision, because if he doesn't, this Vikings team does something else really well. They're not just blitz. They disguise blitzes. They disguise coverage as blitzes. Like their guys come up like they're going to be blitzing, and then they drop back. And Caleb could get tricked with that if he makes the wrong decision and be throwing an interception to Van Ginkel. So like that's something they got to be concerned about, man. That is, and they got to be thinking about that.
This guy's name, man. I can't.
Van Ginkel toes. Yeah, it's a ridiculous one, and he looks like his name. Like he looks like he should be named Andrew Van Ginkel when you see him. So that's also cool. Good for him. But no, it comes down to those deep pass plays need to happen, Brandon. They do, because the Bears cannot sustain offensive drives without big plays.
I think Thomas Brown's aware of that. I think he's an intelligent guy. I think he knows
it's too hard to dig and dunk it down the field. You got to be perfect, man.
Well, and if you think and dunk it down the field, defenses are eventually going to be aware of this. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and then hopefully that's where you take advantage of them downfield. But I mean,
if the entire season your game plan is to dink and dunk, you're not going to run the ball effectively against anybody. You know what I mean?
Well, and you're really not going to run the ball very effectively against a very good run defense in the Minnesota Vikings. I think running is going to be tough sledding this week, man. So hopefully the deep pass is something that's incorporated into this game. And the Bears receivers, listen, how much of our cap space is invested into these three receivers? Do your job. Beat some guys one-on-one, get open downfield for Caleb, and Caleb then needs to do his job and hit them. That has to happen. They gotta be one-on-one this week. They got to do it well, and Caleb needs to make a quick decision in those cases. Deliver the ball, man. That'll be the key. You're not going to be able to run up and down the field on this team, and you're not going to be able to ding and dunk them all the way down the field and score more than 17 points. You're just not going to be able to. So the deep pass will be critical to the Bears having a chance to win this game, Brandon. Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I would agree, man. I think we've definitely established that Montez Sweat needs to have a good game here against the Sam Darnold. It's really vital to get pressure on Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, 10 interceptions, like you said, he'll throw the ball away. And then on the offensive side of the ball, it's important.
He's got decent mobility in the pocket too. Like he's got good enough mobility in the pocket too, Sam Darnold. So
it's important enough for Caleb to get protection enough to throw at least one or two deep balls in this game, right?
You just saw it tonight.
Minnesota defense needs to at least believe that there's a potential that the Bears will go downfield.
You just saw it tonight, man, in a goddamn snowstorm. The plays that turned that game for both teams as they went back and forth were the deep passes, were the deep balls downfield, big plays that flip the field. You need that. You just can't rely on just 6 yards of a pass attempt. You can't rely on that to get you through a game and get you enough points to. It's just too hard. It's just too hard. You got to be perfect, man. So it'll be something to look for, man. And I really want to see. That is, you talked about Caleb's development, Brandon. That is the next step in his development, where we see a consistent deep ball. We haven't seen it yet. He's been awful at the deep ball, Brandon. Just awful. It has not worked at all this season. Like his stats were terrible going into this last game, and I think he completed what I would consider one deep ball in that game, that one to Roma Dunze. So it's just not something he's done well.
It always seems to be to Roma Dunze, doesn't it?
Yeah, because Roma Dunze is very good at beating man coverage, and he's shown himself to be good at beating zone coverage. And then when the ball gets there, he's really good at getting his body in front of the defender. Yeah, he's very good at that. So hopefully we see a couple deep balls to Rome this week, man. That would be lovely. That would be lovely. You just hope that there's an improvement. Oh shit. Last week it was you with the phone. This week it's me with the phone. You just hope that there's an improvement in this offense from this game against the Packers to this game against the Vikings. And you hope to see that Thomas Brown can identify weaknesses in a defense and get his offense prepared to exploit them. That's what you hope for. You hope to see Caleb Williams' development with Thomas Brown's development in this offensive scheme, man. Do you think we see that this week? Without the run game, I think you can count on you're gonna have to run still, And the Bears did it really well this past week. Sorry to cut you off, but like the Vikings are really good at stopping the run. So
Yeah, I think the Vikings are good pretty much everywhere, man. But I do think that Thomas Brown's gonna just continue to get the ball out of Caleb's hands quickly. I
that'll be
think
really
that the
smart this
game
week.
the game plan that you went into with Green Bay the first week as a play caller should probably be the same when you go into this Minnesota game. With after this, you got to start humping it up. And then you have a quick turnaround on Thursday night, so I don't know.
Do you think
It's like,
Caleb throws an interception in this game, Brandon?
no,
No.
no.
You got 9 interceptions on this secondary, just between 3 guys. This secondary is really good, and like you said, there's gonna have to be some deep ball chances taken in this game, and that's where Caleb has been at his
I mean,
worst.
how many interceptions have the Packers had?
I don't have that number off. Their
I,
secondary is very good.
I think they're like leading the league, man.
Their secondary is very good. So, and he did not throw one against them, but you feel like it's bound to happen, and you feel like you said earlier, you want him to take some chances, not to be so conservative that he doesn't put the ball out there to try to give his guys a chance to make a play. I can see potential for a Caleb interception this Sunday, man. I think he might throw his first interception that he's thrown in, what is it, 5 games now?
Yeah.
I think we might see that personally. And again, a part of me hopes that we see Caleb putting the ball out there, taking some chances, because it's the only chance that the Bears have at winning this game, and it's the one thing that I'm not feeling very confident in Caleb Williams about right now.
Yeah, guys, real quick, we want to give a shout out to River Street Tavern, our first and one of 2 sponsors, located at 102 North River Street, East Dundee. Go check them out. Wednesday night, I think it's Wednesday night, $2 burgers, guys. Sunday,
Yeah.
I think it's half price wings. And December 16th, we are going to have a live event, guys. 4-Star Chicago Sports, the 4 Stars will be in the building. December 16th, Monday night, Bears versus Vikings. That is the second Bear in Minnesota, the Bears versus Vikings game. We will be there, myself, Dustin, Sean, Kyle. Not quite sure what's in store yet. Kyle and Sean are still working on some things. And we'll see if we can, Dustin and myself, we'll see if we can think of some things as well. But yeah, if you're in the area, if you live around here, I know most of our viewers don't. Hell, if you're not, if you're in Canada, come down to River Street.
Check us out. Yeah.
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 Yeah, come meet us, guys. It would be really cool to meet you guys from the chat. But River Street Tavern, guys, go regardless of the December 16th event, go check out River Street Tavern.
All right. Very good.
Dustin,
what
do you predict this game to end score wise?
I can see the Bears putting up more points this week than they did last. I do have a lot of faith in Thomas Brown. I think that he came in and did what I would have done. And like that was pretty logical. And I feel like if he does that again this week, they're bound to be able to score some points. I think they'll be able to score more than they did last week, man. I think the Bears can put up 21 in this game. I don't think that that'll be enough. This Vikings team is just, like we said, it's better than the Bears in basically every statistical category. You got Justin Jefferson. Aaron Jones is a Bear killer. He has been as long as he's been in the NFL. I got Vikings 27, Bears 21. Hard fought game, another kind of back and forth game, but the Vikings seem to find ways to win these games, and there's just no fucking way I can pick the Bears to win this game as of right now, man. There's no way. Just based on what we've seen. Hey, listen. Hopefully we can improve our draft standing after this game, I guess, is what I'm looking forward to, because I have no confidence in Matt Eberflus to lead this team to a victory in another close game. Something will happen that'll fuck it up, and the Bears will lose it in another tough game to swallow, man, when it comes to the result. 27-21 Vikings. That's what I got.
Okay, yeah, no, I understand, man. I'm gonna say the Bears do pull this one out. I'm gonna say the Bears win this game. I like this Bears defense against
Got the
Sam
Bears
Darnold.
winning.
Sam Darnold the last couple weeks has played. They've won some games, but he's played some pretty bad football. I think the Bears are able to score 24 points in this game, and I think that the Vikings score 13. I don't want
What?
to give the Vikings. Yeah, I don't want to give the Vikings a lot of points. I think the Vikings are.
13 points.
Yeah, I think the
The Vikings
Vikings
are
get.
gonna
I like the Packers at this juncture of the season more than the Vikings, man.
listen. The Vikings scored what 12 points against the Jaguars. That was in Jacksonville though, right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah. I don't know, man. That's crazy. 13 points. The Bears are gonna beat the 8-2 Vikings 24-13.
yeah,
We just saw the Browns beat the Steelers, man. So I guess that's kind of like what you can stand on and say, like, these divisional games, crazy shit can happen. You can throw out the stats coming into the game. The Bears are at home, so I is that where you're coming from? It's just like I can't get on that ledge with you, bro. No way. No fucking way. There's no way the Bears win this game. The Vikings are better at everything than the Bears, except for like stopping an opponent on third down and red zone scoring percentage. So I guess if the Bears can keep the Vikings out of the end zone when they get in the red zone, because they will, because the Bears are allowing 5 yards of carry, basically, they're going to be able to move the ball with the ground game, control the game. Um, I don't see how the Bears pull this one out. I can't get there with you, but I like your balls on this one to step out and say that. I don't know how I'm trying to put
you
myself.
always like my balls.
I'm trying. All right, that's supposed to be private, but that's not supposed to be for public consumption.
Sorry, you always like my privates.
All right.
Where do we
Very
go
good.
with this, Dustin?
Where do we go with this? I don't know, dude. You joke about me liking your balls. I'm kind of at a loss. Kind of at a loss. I guess we can finish it if you want, or unless there's something else you want to talk about. We made our predictions. Uh, yeah, I think my prediction is going to be more right than yours. To be honest, I don't know how you can even get in that headspace as a Bears fan to predict a win. I know Sean predicted a win for the Bears too. So we're split 50-50 then, the 4 stars, right? In terms of our predictions for this game, or did
Yeah, I
Kyle
think
pick
so.
more?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at work yesterday. I haven't gone. I've been working all day the last 2 days, so I did not catch their predictions. But I know Sean was saying on the House Hall Hangover he was going to pick the Bears. I don't see it, man. I don't see how any Bears fan could have any confidence that the Bears can win this game this Sunday.
Oh, we got someone in the chat, Chris Foster.
He is who we thought he was. Mahomes, they said. NFL ready, they said. Generation. Oh, here it's one of these. We were right, and the Caleb cult was wrong. Calebwilliams has 9 touchdowns in 10 games. What's up, Chris Foster? How you doing? Caleb had a pretty damn good game this past Sunday. He put his team in position to win. You know, he set them up for the game-winning field goal.
For the
He did what
second time in his career.
Yep, and the field goal got blocked. I mean, I don't know if are you saying that if the Bears win that game and Caleb outperforms Jordan Love? I don't know, man. He's a rookie, dude.
Well, the real question is, do you believe truthfully Caleb is the problem with this football team?
There was only one turnover in that game this past Sunday, and the Bears had a chance to win. Man, again, Brandon's asking, do you believe that Caleb is the problem with this team? I remember the 2 sacks to start the drive. Yeah, I don't know. Those were those were the Bears trying to take deep shots, and that offensive line is not prepared for that. Do you remember that Caleb Williams threw the pass on 3rd and 19 for 16 yards to Rome Odunze after evading pressure and getting out of the pocket? Do you remember Caleb throwing the back shoulder throw to Rome Odunze on 4th and 3? I mean, those were big time plays, my man. You were happy with the haul and you wanted the haul in 2024. I mean, it comes down to, did you want to keep Justin Fields? And I was not in that camp, man. I had seen enough from Justin Fields. I mean, 3 seasons was enough for me to know that he wasn't a franchise quarterback that I thought he could be when they drafted him, and it was time to move on, man.
Well, and if you're happy with the haul the first time Poles did it, then you should be happy with the quarterback Poles drafted because he's the same guy that did the haul, right?
Well, I mean, what it comes down to, man, is you need that quarterback. And how many times in a row were the Bears going to pass up the opportunity to
Yeah, and if you
draft
ask me, man, the Steelers
DJ
look better.
Stroud?
The Steelers look better without Fields. He's not a Fields fan. He said that. So who did you want, Chris?
Did he say that he's not a Fields
Chris,
fan?
I'm not a Fields fan. Who did you want to be the Bears quarterback? If you say Bajan, I swear to God.
He's going to say Bajan. Fields and Hall would have been the best. Yeah, I don't know. Like he said, man, Fields has been benched, and the Steelers are better because of it. Russell Wilson is a better quarterback. I think this is a conversation that we'll never make any progress on, to be honest. It's going to take time for Caleb to prove himself. I mean, like I was saying earlier, man, the deep ball is a big problem. His statistics on his completion percentage, his success rate, it's just awful. So if that needs to get better, there's things Caleb needs to get better at.
You have to believe this. Caleb Williams behind a good offensive line gives you a better chance to win a football game than Justin Fields behind a good offensive line, right?
Or Tyson Bagent, for that matter.
Like, if you take out the ability, oh, God.
Yeah.
If you take out the ability to run, okay, Chris Foster, so how do you feel about the fact that Bagent needed another player to throw a Hail Mary? Doesn't that matter? Isn't that relevant?
Listen, I don't think it matters. There's nothing that we can say. We've had this take in the chat before, and there's nothing that we can say that's going to really change anybody's opinion. It's going to come down to Caleb's play on the field. Caleb is going to continue to get better as this season progresses. Caleb just played his best game as a pro in my mind this past Sunday against the division rival Packers. And I think Thomas Brown is going to continue to unlock more in him as this season goes on. And it's going to be hard to deny once everyone's seeing it result in wins. That's really how I feel about it. But I don't think
Caleb in crunch time has been phenomenal, man.
Yeah, when it's time when he needs to get it done with the game on the line, he's proven that he can do that. He has. Whereas Fields would fall apart in those situations. Always.
Yeah, it's when he played his worst.
When he played his worst, the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter and the second quarter. That's when he played his worst statistically. He crumbled under that pressure, guys. But listen, this time is going to tell on this one. At the end of the day, you got that Bears C there for your logo. Caleb's your quarterback, bro. Caleb's your quarterback. If you want to be a Bears fan and enjoy anything about it, you kind of got to come to grips with the fact that the best thing to hope for is that Caleb becomes the player that we hoped he would be when he was drafted number 1 overall. Otherwise, there's no point.
Yeah.
I can't say what. You can't say what. No, I said what I said, man. Caleb is the future of this Bears franchise. Whether you like it or not, that is what it is. Go tell Kamala fans that Trump is their guy now. Trump is that. He is. He's the fucking president. He will be the president of the United States. They have to.
Absolutely.
You have to get on board. You got to keep going and doing your job. You got to keep paying your taxes. You got to keep showing up, man. Like, that's just what it is, That's just what it is. That I can say that because that's the reality of it. If you're going to root for the Bears, it don't make sense to root against their quarterback. Don't mean they have to root for him. All right, but
you just sum that up.
So how do you root for the United States, but you don't root for Trump? So you root for the Bears and you don't root for. I mean, if Trump does well in his position, your life will become better living in the United States of America. Like, that's just the reality. And if Caleb does well in his position as the quarterback for the Chicago Bears, your life will become better as a Chicago Bears fan, right? Just like if Fields would have. Fields is Joe Biden, I guess, in this situation. Had Joe Biden done really well, I would have wanted him to stay president because my shit would have been better. Life would have been better. Things got worse. So I wanted to change that to try to make it better. That's what it comes down to. I don't know, man. I support the United States.
We're way off the rails here,
yeah,
man.
I just want what's best for myself on a day-to-day basis. And what's best for my sanity is that the Bears figure this shit out, become an actual NFL football team that we can be proud to root for. And I think the key to that is going to have to be Caleb Williams and whoever our next head coach is. So, yeah, I'm rooting for Caleb. And had Kamala won, I'd be rooting for her to do the best job possible because it matters if she does, and it affects us if she doesn't. Like, that's.
I think the best things the two most important questions moving forward are what's best for Caleb Williams and can ryanpoles provide that?
Yeah, and that remains to be seen, right? Chris wants Ben Johnson. Okay, duly noted, man. I think Ben Johnson is a hell of an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, hell of a play caller.
Yeah, I mean, whether that transitions to the head coaching position remains to be seen, just like it always does with these guys that step into that role. I just don't think the Bears are equipped to handle it. I don't think the Bears are providing an environment that fosters a rookie head coach to grow, just like they haven't provided an environment that fosters a rookie quarterback to grow. So obviously it's systemic. And that's what we have to look forward to this Sunday, Brandon. Systemic failure on the football field showing its ugly head again. And that's why the Bears will lose.
Yeah, Dustin, I think that's about it, man. Chris, we do want to appreciate you for being in here tonight.
Yeah, man, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, come back. We'll always have a conversation about it.
Subscribe. Shorty, we appreciate you being in here. Bruce, we appreciate you being in here. Dustin, always a pleasure, man.
Yeah, man. You too. It's good to catch up once a week, twice a week. Shoot the shit. Hopefully the Bears win. Let's get some sleep. Everybody have a great night. Bear down. Thanks, Brandon. Take it easy, Chris.